Welcome in to yet another episode of Building the Pride. I am your host, Drew, and I'm joined always by my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Drew, how about yourself?
Yeah, things are going pretty well. I'm pretty excited. We got actual kind of football to talk about today, and I'm excited about it.
Kind
How
of
are you?
football. Well, I mean, we're getting there, right?
Yeah, we're getting there. I mean, I feel about the preseason has not changed. Like my level that I pay attention to it has changed, but I just want no one to get hurt. That's literally what I
Uh,
care about.
yeah. I mean, obviously, it's
Oh,
one of those things where you kind of want to make sure that you get you get an idea of how good the youngsters are playing and all that kind of stuff. But more than anything, just stay healthy,
we have
right?
breaking news. We have breaking
Break.
news.
Oh, good lord! Don't do this to me, Drew. All right, tell me.
The Niners and the Steelers have a deal in place for Brandon Ayuk, contingent
Ooh.
upon him agreeing to a long-term contract extension. So what I had heard, the last that I had heard was that the Steelers had offered him 28 a year. So
I mean,
if
that's
that
I'd
number is,
take it.
well, right? But that might be the most significant thing about to happen in the Lions season, especially at this point, because I think the NFL, and I know the media at least, views the NFC as a battle between the Lions and 49ers to see who is going to go to the Super Bowl out of the conference.
Yeah.
Now it seems a little premature for that, but if San Francisco trades a weapon like Ayuk on the eve of the NFL regular season, I don't see how that's not a bonus for the Lions.
Yeah, and I know Philadelphia is kind of on that list as well of the teams that are expected to do some damage.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be curious to see how that goes with the Eagles.
I'm betting. I'll just bet. I'm thinking. Oh, Brosky Bear. Welcome,
What's
Brosky.
up, Brosky?
Bill Brosky.
All right, yeah. I'm more of a go green Michigan State fan, but I am going to Penn State
I'm
to finish my
lying.
degree. So
He's a virtual Nittany Lion.
virtual Nittany Lion. Yep.
There he
So,
is. So, well,
but
welcome,
yeah.
Brosky
Other
Bear.
than that, I mostly go green.
Brian Morsky. We've got all kinds of people in the chat tonight. Ayuk and
All right.
Pickens could be a fun duo as long as someone can get them the ball. I'm just glad the 49ers will be down a top weapon. Yeah. That seems pretty real.
Yeah.
Ayuk would be, I mean, I like DJ Moore fine, but like Ayuk would be the best weapon that I know Justin Fields has had to throw to in a while. And like, I don't have anything against Cortland Sutton. Broski, that's awesome.
Broski. Yeah.
So, but Russell Wilson didn't have anybody Ayuk's caliber to throw to in Denver, at least. So it'll be interesting to see which one of them wins the battle. Someone's hurt, someone's not hurt, whatever. And then if Ayuk actually makes it over there, which sounds like it's getting closer, I mean, that could
Yeah.
be.
The last I heard, they were like, "Nope, we're out."
Yeah, I heard that
But I'm
New
like,
England had said nope, we're out, but I didn't hear
yeah,
about
yeah, them
Pittsburgh.
too.
So
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
And what it tells you is until something's done,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. People can say nope, we're out until some sweetheart deal comes in, and then we're in again, right? So until you see re-sign happen in San Francisco or the paperwork to actually put him into Pittsburgh or some other place, he's a Niner until that happens, right?
that's right. And the overwhelming amount of times like these kind of things end up, well, we worked it out and now you don't have to move,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Just a little bit of leverage on the player side.
I mean, very possibly could be true, Brian. I'm just saying, like, when you go whatever they went 5-12 or whatever, like, no one's gonna remember. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Like
the
literally, you didn't even remember.
what a
Like,
horrible
what was there?
what a horrible situation that trade and then the extension was. in Denver. A clear all-time not great, right?
So can Coach Payton turn that around,
No.
or is he in over his head?
So the problem, in my opinion, the issue that Sean Payton is facing is that he inherited a team that is nothing like what Sean Payton wants in a team.
Yeah, so he's got to rebuild from scratch.
And he is the ultimate, like, this is my system, Bill Parcells kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so until he has his system with the kind of players that he wants, it's just going to be a nightmare in Denver. Like, and I don't for 1 second believe that they were like, oh, cool, Bo Nix is here at 12. You know, like, I don't believe it. So I think it's they're my leading candidate to get the number 1 pick in next year's draft. So I think that it could be a long season in Denver.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how the season goes for them. It was disappointing last year, and then with the trade, getting Russell Wilson out of there, and he played fine. So I don't understand why, other than the whole, like you said, system, and he's not the quarterback for the thing that Sean Payton has to have for what he does. So I don't know. I think Wilson will do decent in Pittsburgh, I think.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see. I mean, clearly Denver thinks that he's the payoff, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have traded for him and paid him what they paid him and brought him in. And I mean, Sean Payton is the guy in charge of the Broncos. So, I mean,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if he drafts another Drew Brees, great. And then, or someone else drafts Drew Brees and then Sean Payton signs him in free agency. So
if he just happens to draft another like Hall of Famer with one of the like prettiest passing ever,
yeah, like
dude was a pure passer.
Yeah, I mean Sean Payton is the coach of the Saints, right? The Chargers drafted Brees, and then they had a bad year, and so they because I think he hurt his shoulder, and then they ended up with like the 3rd pick, and that was the Eli Manning Phillip Rivers trade.
Yep.
So they ended up going all in on Phillip Rivers, and they just let Brees. I believe they just let Brees walk, which
free agency.
Come on, so and like we've talked on the show enough about like, I mean, I don't remember the way that Drew Brees was viewed, 4 years in, coming off of an injury, entering into free agency. So at the very least, Sean Payton was like, you have all the qualities I want. I'm going to bet on your upside. And it worked out.
Yeah.
They won a Super Bowl.
Assuming you're going to be healthy, you can do the things that I need you to do. And then he's betting on the health, right?
So, I mean, but, if Denver has a top 5 pick next year, and somebody like, oh God, it's not Carson Beckett, is it? The kid from Georgia's sitting there. Or even the kid from Colorado, Sanders. Like,
You're thinking of Stetson Bennett?
No, I'm not thinking of Stetson Bennett. He's probably drunk right now. But like, he's currently at Georgia. He's Georgia's QB is in the running to be the number 1 QB taken off the board in the 2025 draft. So, I think his name is Carson Beck.
Carson Beck. Yep.
Okay, so like that kid. Georgia is one of those schools that's like, we need a guy that can just kind of like game manage and do a little bit on top of that. Like, just don't make bad decisions because the rest of their talent base is so amazing. So like, as long as they're not making mistakes, they're just probably beating you. So like, Georgia seems like a decent place that if you were going to get like a Sean Payton-esque quarterback, you could go there and do that, So like, I just don't think the quarterback that Sean Payton wants is on the roster. I would be surprised.
I would guess not. If they're going to end up at number 1 overall, I have a feeling they'll go quarterback because I think it's just going to be an upgrade over what they've gotten Nix. But it'll be interesting to see what Nix does this year.
Yeah,
he should have plenty of opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike your boy JJ McCarthy, who's been
injured. He hurt his knee, and he's going to have an operation, and apparently they can't tell how bad it is now, and they have to do the surgery to determine how long he's going to be out. But they said it was a meniscus, so that's not, you don't want that one to get hurt. So, but like, maybe a blessing in disguise. I don't know, probably not. But like they have the Vikings have Sam Darnold, and this will at least force JJ McCarthy to be out for the duration to heal and then get caught back up on like getting back into like game shape or that type of thing. And like of all the quarterbacks that were taken, I do still think that JJ is the one that needs he needs to sit and learn the most. So now he's forced to do that. He looked good in their drive that he had in their week 1 preseason game, but that's preseason, and he's working against the backups. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. You don't want to see people get hurt.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch the Lions game?
I did, unfortunately.
You did. What did you think?
They got worked.
We got. Yeah. Do you want to kind of talk injury update, or do you want to just go right into the preseason game 1 review?
We'll do whatever you want, Mike. You lead the way.
All right. Let's start talking about the injuries.
Sure.
That's the one thing that we want to get out of these preseason games is just remaining healthy, and we didn't necessarily do that. Do you have the list handy by chance?
Well, so let's just start with the big one. So the big one is Jahmyr Gibbs tweaked a hamstring. I have not heard of any kind of timetable that it will keep him out. I imagine that they will simply, hey Pat, what's going on, man? I imagine that they will treat him with kid gloves at this point, like Hatters. So hamstrings being soft tissue injuries have a high likelihood of being repeated. Oh, Danny Coates. They said before the first game he's back. Well, that's great. So that's 3 weeks away, right? So you might as well. I mean, like, I'm sure that he's in good shape. I've heard good things about how he was playing in practice, and so you just don't need this. And so like you might as well rest, err on the side of caution and just let him get healed back up, because he's going to be a crucial part of like them getting mismatches on offense. So you don't need to win a preseason
offensive
game.
Weapon, right?
Yes, he's an offensive weapon. So you don't need to win preseason games. There's no impetus to rush him back whatsoever. And even if it was like he needs to miss the first or second week, well, if he's getting back into game shape or whatever, fine. Like I'm a big
Monty's no slouch, right? Yeah. Like it's not like if he's out, then we're like, oh my gosh, we got a Jamar Jefferson is our guy. We got Montgomery's back there, and he is effectively QB or RB1A or RB1B, depending on how you want to put those guys on the A and B side. But they're essentially both starter quality dudes.
Yeah, and like I believe both Montgomery and Gibbs missed games last year. And Craig Reynolds filled in pretty well, I thought, for them. And now I'm sure they are also keeping Vaki on the 53-man roster. So I
would think so.
They will technically be 4 deep at running back. So I don't care,
And when we get to the review of the game, like Vaki was one of those guys that stuck out to me. I thought he played really well.
Yeah. So, I certainly didn't want Gibbs to be injured. I'm hoping that he has a speedy recovery and that this is just a minuscule blip in the road. Oh my God. So,
his estimated return date is August 17th.
So that's 4 days from now. So what Danny said.
Yep.
So fine with me. Yeah, so Rakestraw rolled an ankle. Armstead or Arnold landed weird on his shoulder, but like nothing. I've heard nothing about either one of them it being anything but minor, and they're just going to monitor it as it goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if they missed a couple practices, but we'll see. I think when is their next preseason game? This coming Saturday?
That is a great question.
Where is sports? Maybe they missed that. If they're just being really cautious. But like Saturday. The other
4 p.m. against the Chiefs.
Oh. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't care if the Chiefs, if they want to hang 63 on us, that's fine. It's a preseason. So, well, the players always say they're fine. I mean, like, that's just it. Like, I mean, he could be carrying around his arm in the other arm, and be like, I'm good, ready to go.
It's but a scratch.
That's where I was going. I'm glad you picked up on it, Mike. So, like, it's very, what is that, the Black Knight?
Yeah, from Monty Python.
Yeah, so it's very Black Knight of him, right? So, like,
Yeah.
But he probably is also just legitimately healthy. So good. We are going to be doing a bold bets segment later in the show, and I have one of mine is about Ennis Rakestraw. So a little foreshadowing.
Oh crap, that was today too, wasn't it?
It was, Mike. I
I'm
know
totally prepared.
because I told you about it a long time ago. Yeah. Yes, he is. He would say that he is fine if he was. I mean, these guys don't want to lose their spots. Like, Mike, did you not tell me that Amon-Ra St. Brown played most of last season with like a muscle ripped off of his quad?
Yeah, his oblique was pulled right from the bone. I don't know how long it took him to heal from that, but it couldn't have been super fast.
Right.
Your oblique pulled right from the bone has got to be just an absurd amount of pain and discomfort.
So if these guys have muscles literally ripped off their bones, they'll still play. It's just a matter of like managing the right. So it's just a matter of managing the pain. So, like, in order for Rakestraw to quote unquote not be available to play, he'd have to have like something structural with his foot that prevents him from actually playing. So, I mean, otherwise like, look at Frank Ragnow. Frank Ragnow should have been out last year, but he like, nah, put a brace on it. I'm going to go in. I'm not going to stop. Like, you just can't let these guys are going to do whatever they can to get back on the field because they don't want to lose their jobs. Yeah, I don't think he's going to miss any time. So this is more people that are nicked up in the preseason than I wanted to see. Now, most of these people I don't particularly think matter. So, like, Emmanuel Mosley, has he played at all for the Lions in any capacity ever? And it's his second year on the team.
About half of game one, like 2 years ago.
See, there it is. Like, James Houston suffered a bruised bone in his knee. Not what you want to hear.
But again, his estimated return date is August 17th. So nothing huge. It's not like Antoine Green, who is out. Feb 10th is his return date. Deron Gilbert is also.
Well, unfortunately, I think that Antoine Green's return date's a little bit longer than that because they waived him.
Did they officially waive him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which I was shocked at. Like, so I follow one of the Lions beat writers. His name's Colton Pouncey. He writes for The Athletic. And he said he did like a predicting the 53-man roster article late last week, which I read. And like in it, he said he doesn't necessarily think that the wide receiver 3 is currently on the roster. So Green had been taking a lot of the first team snaps in practice with the ones.
Yeah.
And he got hurt and they waived him. They brought back Donovan People-Jones on a 1-year deal. But I don't think there's a lot of loyalty there. I hope he doesn't roll an ankle because he's probably off the roster. But he might be on IR, but I mean, he's not a Lion. So.
Well, I think if you waive him and he clears waivers, then it's almost like the practice squad, and then he can end up on our IR maybe. I'm not 100% sure how that works.
Ian Rappaport has for NFL.com has said that Terrion Arnold, who left practice yesterday with a pec injury, is not expected to miss time in the regular season. So good.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, I mean, and that's, to be honest, that's what I care about. I just care about these guys playing games that matter. So, like, the names on this list that I think are important at all are Gibbs, Rakestraw, Arnold, Laporta, Houston. I think Zeitler's we know that Zeitler is what do you say? Shoulder injury that he's nursing, but he's 34. So like I think if this guy has any aches or boo-boos, or whatever, like you basically are just like, yeah, maybe you don't practice Thursday, Kevin, or whatever. DJ Reader, we know that he is probably like he has just not played a full season in a while. He's currently not feeling great. It's unlikely that I think that if we get 10 or 12 games out of him, I think I'd be thrilled. So, and that's where it starts. And then Christian Mahogany is also beat up, but like he is your backup guard. So I think that he'll probably be a starting guard in a year or two. But he's currently also out. So like they're dealing with a little bit more injuries than I think that I would like to see at this time of year. But luckily, we have a bye in week 5. Thanks a lot, NFL, you jerks. So, so this is a week 5 bye is great for teams that enter the year all fucking banged up. So, especially when you went to the NFC Championship game, it doesn't seem like that should be a thing. But
just think, maybe next year we're gonna have 2 byes because we'll have 18 games.
Well, see, that's really optimistic. I'm proud of you. So yeah, so there's more people hurt than I want to see, and like there's some of the injuries I am actually concerned about. Like I don't like hearing about soft tissue injuries, like groin pulls, hamstrings, that kind of stuff. They have a tendency to linger, and you have a very high probability of re-injuring that same thing because there's constant stress, right? And like ligaments don't heal like muscles and bones and some of the other shit that's inside of our bodies do. So you got to really take care of them. And like the Lions have even like changed the way that they lift weights. Their off-season programs are specifically designed to avoid these kinds of injuries because they're the ones that are preventable. So it's unfortunate that there are as many of them on the list as there are. So, however, no one seems to be like maybe bound for the PUP list or whatever. I mean, I know DJ Reader might end up on it, but that's still kind of a fluid situation. And like losing Kaminsky sucks.
Yes.
But I mean,
it's been nice to have. I mean, we've got Davenport, right? We've got Houston, although Houston's also on the banged up list, but should be back relatively soon. So we'll have somebody over there on the other side of Hutch. But it would be nice to have, Kaminsky as one of those guys in that rotation.
Brian, I had not heard that. Thank you for sharing that information. That is true. Dallas and Detroit are traditional Thanksgiving Day game participants. So excellent. All right. That makes me feel a little bit better about it. Not much though, but better than I did. So thank you. One other thing that I think will help with the Kaminsky loss is that it appears that our old pal Levi Onwuzurike is quote unquote tearing up camp thus far and has been practicing with the ones and is up to 305 pounds and will kind of fill the same role that Kaminsky did, that 3 technique or large edge, like in certain sets. So from everything that I've heard reported so far from camp, like it's not crazy to think that, especially with like Kaminsky being out, Reader being hurt, that you could see Onwuzurike play meaningful snaps in the regular season. And if his back is healthy, which as someone who has a bad back, I pray every day that that's true for him. But like, at 24 years old. But if he's healthy, I mean, he was a 2nd round pick. That was only a 2nd round pick because people were worried about his back.
Yeah.
So it's not like the dude isn't talented. He just has not been healthy. So it's year 4. This is his chance to say, I'm in line for any kind of second contract to stay on the team, to continue to play in Detroit. So he needs to remain healthy and play well, or at least be impactful with the time that he is given. So, and he's got opportunity. So make the most out of it. That's what Dan Campbell says he's doing. I'm pretty excited for him. What are your thoughts on the injuries, Mike?
I mean, you pretty much, nailed it. I think that the volume of injuries don't. That's not a huge deal. They're all kind of knick-knack type of things where they'll be back in a few days. It's football's a contact sport, right? Let's not forget that these are grown men going out running into each other at full speed. So these are the things that's going to happen. They lived through this for the entire season, and I don't think any of these guys would be out if Sunday was week 1. Gibbs is in the game, Rakestraw's in the game, Arnold's in the game. Like, this is not going to keep them out of a real game. It might keep them out of maybe a practice here or there, or certainly probably won't be playing in a preseason game. I'm not super worried about these. If we want to kind of move into the preseason game 1 review, that'll be perfect because the one guy that I wanted to talk about was Hendon Hooker. And his injury was a real bummer because I really wanted to see him get some meaningful snaps in. And I thought he played quite well in the 2 series or whatever that he was able to get out there. Just absolutely trucked a linebacker, just ran him over like he was a linebacker. And that was pretty awesome to see. And I was really bummed that he ended up going out concussion protocol, and we didn't get to see any more of that. So that was the only injury that I was super bummed about. Was I wanted to see more of Hooker just to see what he can do, and I thought he played pretty well. What did you think about Hooker's performance?
When I was watching the game, I thought there was a very clear difference between the level of talent between Sudfeld and Hooker. And Hendon Hooker is the kind of quarterback that I think the NFL has moved to. Like, can throw the football, wants to throw the football, athletic enough to get out of harm's way, make something happen when the play breaks down. And then this is also the absolute fear. Like, he's a big dude. Like, he is not a little dude. And like, I wanted to see him slide because I don't give a shit that he trucked some dude in preseason. I don't want him to have a concussion. And now he has a concussion. It wasn't from that play, but like, he also has a concussion. And I would much rather that he not have one and be able to play on Saturday, which he's now not going to be able to do. And they had to go out and sign Jake Fromm, once again, a quarterback from Georgia, who to come in and be like the second or third option on this roster because they don't want to put Jared Goff in as an emergency quarterback if Nate Sudfeld gets hurt. So I think
just run the Wildcat. Say fuck it.
Oh, God.
Samoa Vaki, let's do it. Let's see what you can do, bro.
The guy is really talented, but I liked what I saw from Hooker. Like, obviously he's the number 2 quarterback. Like, obviously there's room for improvement, but I liked what I saw. I do think that his game is going to look a lot different than Jared Goff's. Not only because of the athleticism, but because of the offense that he ran at Tennessee is different than what the Lions do, even though he's been here learning it for a while now. So I'm just hoping that he's able to get back for this 3rd preseason game, get some like 2 quarters, if not the entire game, to play, because like I am fine with Brad Holmes wanting to draft or get people on the roster who might have some reason why they can't play right away, whether it's injury, whether it's development, that kind of thing. But at some point, I'm just like, let's actually see it. I want to see it. I've been talking about it now for a long time. Like, let's go. And I'm to that point with Hendon Hooker. I don't know why, but I just want to see him play. I want to see him on the field, field in a game situation, doing anything. So, and that goes for a lot of these guys. Like Broderick Martin made a great play early on in the Giants game, and I was like, cool, like, let's keep him out there, like, work his ass, like that kind of stuff. Like, let's see Broderick Martin, just that kind of thing. Like, I mean, I saw Giovanni Manu out there, moving people around with his huge, giant hands and his enormous body, and that kind of thing. And I was just like, cool, let's see him out there. But then, like, because some of the guys that I did see that are in that development stage, I was just like, ugh. I am watching you play football right now.
Oh, Sudfeld, was that just not the hardest thing to watch? Yeah, Danny's like, maybe it's the pain from Sudfeld playing. It was brutal to watch. Like, I felt bad for him as badly as he played, and I felt bad for everybody that paid money to watch him play.
Well, I want to be fair to Nate Sudfeld for just a second. And the way that I'm going to be fair to Nate Sudfeld is that by midway through the second quarter, I was actively looking for players that I thought were doing a good job.
Sure.
So, like,
I mean, he was surrounded by other second and third, players. Like he wasn't surrounded by starters.
Nope.
At the same time, he was also going up against the other team's 2s and 3s. So that kind of balances that out a little bit. But man, I thought we were going to I thought our depth was going to be like the deciding factor. Like, we'll beat them because our depth is just better. Like, even taking our 1s away, our 2s and 3s are better than theirs. And I did not see that. Now, granted, the quarterback is the most important piece of that. And our quarterback at 2 was far worse than their second string quarterback. So that didn't help either. But yeah, it was a rough day all around. There wasn't a lot of good tape on those second stringers.
Yeah. I'm not saying Nate Sudfeld looked good. I'm not. But
his passer rating was 25.2, I think, at the half.
Yeah, that's fine.
And if he throws every single ball directly into the dirt, it's like 38.9. He literally had worse passer rating than if you would just threw everything incomplete, which is also why I hate passer rating as a metric.
Sure. So, I mean, I remember thinking at multiple points, God, their backups are kicking our backups ass.
Yeah.
And the score didn't reflect it, but like, I was completely unimpressed with this game. I was interested to see Hooker play, and then they had to take him out because he had a concussion, and then Sudfeld came back in. I thought Brandon Joseph looked good. I have a soft spot for Brandon Joseph, even though he went to Notre Dame, and I'm kind of hoping that he'll win the job for backup safety, because I think the safeties that are going to be on the roster are Joseph Branch, Mel Fonwu, and CJ Moore. And if you carry 5 safeties, I think he's fighting for that 5th spot. And I like him. I think that coming out of college, he went to Northwestern for 2-3 years, transferred to Notre Dame. Lions picked him up cheap. And the recruiting on the kid was that he is a genius on the field. It's just a lack of athleticism. So, but like, sometimes those geniuses are like, I know where this play is going, I'm going to start running right now. And then it makes up for the fact that other people run like a 4-3-1 or whatever, or it can help make up for it. But like, I'm hoping that he gets a chance to be like a special teamer on the 53-man roster this season. That's one of my hopes. He had a pick. I was happy about that. But I thought that stop it.
I'm not sure he would have gotten the W, but I don't think he would have played as badly as Sudfeld.
Well, he's playing for some other team now. Yeah. So, but I thought that it was more difficult to find the players who were standing out for a good reason than it was to find players that were not winning. Like, I saw Colby Sorsdale I was watching him for like 2 series, and it was like abuse what the defensive line was doing to him. I was really surprised. And I know that they've moved him from guard to tackle, but I'm trying to find. Well, let me see. I took some notes. Let me see what's the nicest thing.
It was tough to find good things to say.
Oh, we just the nicest,
dirty.
The nicest thing that I wrote down was it's raining.
That's true.
And like, this game doesn't matter. That no one is going to remember this game, but I was hoping that we would see people wearing Detroit Lions uniforms go out there and put forth the kind of effort that's like, yeah, all right, but he's every play this kid is going or whatever. And like, I didn't see that. Like, I'm not saying that they quit or anything, but like, I was unfamiliar. Now it's like, it's weird because like first my whole life I was oddly calm about the Lions not being very good, and like watching the 2s and 3s out there not being very good, I was like, not over CJ Moore. That's when you remember when I did this. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Iffy Melifonu, CJ Moore, and then Brandon Joseph is fighting for that 5th safety spot. Remember that? So, I mean, like, I think he's a special teamer at best, but like, he is still competing with 2 or 3 other guys to be the 5th safety that they carry. So,
yeah, I think the brightest spot in the whole game was Vaki. I think every time he touched the ball, he did something positive. He made a couple really nice runs, a couple nice breaks. I think they saw what they needed to see out of him because he didn't get a ton of carries.
no.
I'm just like, he came in, he did a whole bunch of stuff. We actually got to move the ball downfield when they handed him the ball. And then all of a sudden he was gone. And I think they went, we saw what we needed. You're good. Let's go. Let's put Jamar Jefferson and get him more reps. I don't want you getting hurt. I think it's kind of what they did because he was the best player on the field, I think, for us for the game.
I liked what I saw. Like, he ran hard, and I think that this was a game where, because in this game, the running backs that I remember seeing were Craig Reynolds. I saw at least get 1 carry. Vaki, Jamar Jefferson, who was much bigger than I remember. He looked linebacker.
Probably beefed up.
Yeah, he looked big. I think Zonovan Knight got some action in this game. So they played 4 running backs, and who weren't even close to getting actual in-game carries. So I do think that this is the thing though, right? Like, we have been talking about the Lions.
I'm trying to zoom in here.
Is this from?
Yep, this is preseason game 1 for
I have
Detroit
been trying to find this forever.
PFF.com is where I would.
Okay, so you went under. It's under premium stats. Okay,
so premium stats, and then by game, then you can select the game.
So Duke Clemens was one of the UDFA. We brought in 3 UDFA centers, and he's the guy.
30 snaps. Like, he got a good chunk of snaps.
So I think that one of these 3 UDFA centers is going to be the quote unquote backup to Frank Ragnow in the long term. What's up, Dr. Detroit?
Dr. D, what's up, buddy?
I am surprised that Galvin scored that high.
Yeah, and he was out there for 50 snaps, which I think is the most of anybody. Storsdal was at 44. Sudfeld was 49. Yeah, we had to scroll, baby, to get to the bottom with Sudfeld. 38.1. Brutal.
I mean, there's a lot of like low 60s and down in this.
Yeah,
in this group.
We did not play good, right? Like, this is a team effort as far as the scoring that we have. I mean, Hooker only played 20 snaps, 14 dropbacks, and then the 6 runs. I mean, I would have probably given him a higher grade than this. I'd have to go back and I guess maybe rewatch. I felt like he played more than 9 points better than Sudfeld, but maybe it was just like a breath of fresh air that it wasn't that bad, and literally anything better than horrible was like a breath of fresh air. So maybe it was one of those kind of things. And I do want to see him do good. Like, I want to see, like, I want this guy to be our backup, and I want him to be somebody we can count on if something happens to Goff. So maybe that was also part of the way that I was coming at watching that. Most likely I was just probably bored of watching us get nowhere on the field with Sudfeld. I was a little surprised to see Kennedy down here. because he's been pretty sure-handed, and the last couple preseasons he's been that like last wide receiver cut. He was just right on the bubble kind of thing, and this is kind of unlike him as far as the last couple preseasons go.
Yeah.
But like Craig Reynolds, Sorsdal, both way down in the 50s. Jamar Jefferson in the 40s.
They
Antoine
cut
Green.
Botiger, however you say his name.
Did they?
Yeah, he's off the roster. So, can we see the defense, please, Michael?
We can. Let's take a look at the defense.
Yeah, okay.
This is where we get some better scores. Meek Robertson played really well.
Shockingly, Jalen Reeves-Maben played well. Look at that. Look at that. Broderick Martin, 33 snaps, hit a 71. Good job. Good job, man. I'm hopeful for him. He is enormous. He is enormous.
A big dude.
He got in for a sack on DeVito, I believe, like real early on, like midway through the first quarter. And it looked like a wave taking out a child. I mean, it was hilarious. So,
trying to get the screen size to scroll. There we go.
You're going to go smaller.
So sacks. Nate Lynn had a sack. Isaac Ukwu had a sack. Martin had one hurry and 2 batted balls.
There you
go. Nate Lynn, sack, 2 hits, 2 hurries. Like I think we had a couple guys that played really, really well on defense. Love to see our cornerbacks scoring well.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a big change from last year.
Right corner, free safety, and then like Strickland's there and Terry and Arnold. I mean, that's average. I mean, he played average, but like he only had 13 snaps. I mean, I think that's a dude that's probably going to get better the more you play him, right? Yeah. But like can you scroll down just a tad, Mike? My boy Matthew Betts not doing too hot. 61. Only played 7 snaps in the first week of the preseason. Not a great sign. Not a good sign. Like hard to find a guy who played less, to be honest. Hatton. But who else do we have down here? Vilder didn't play especially.
I was just looking to see if there's anybody else in single digits. It's just those 2 guys.
James Houston didn't play well. Mekhi Wingo, he didn't play well, but he got a pressure. Right around the same time that Martin did. And like, he's very fast. Like, I was actually quite surprised. Like his get off, and he ducked under a guard and beat him to the quarterback. So, I mean, like, I was impressed with parts of this, but like these scores do kind of reflect exactly what I saw.
A 14-3 drubbing.
I mean, I know it's only 11 points, but like, I mean, I was surprised it wasn't more, like, I feel like if the effort and talent disparity was between ones on both sides, like the score would have been a lot further apart, like, so I'm hoping that we see some grit in game 2 in Kansas City. So, or is it in Detroit?
At Kansas City.
Sure.
So one of the things that made me feel good about, like, the worst part is when you see somebody that's got a high grade, but he played like 4 snaps, and you're like, meh, okay, whatever. But I like the fact that 37 snaps, 32 snaps, 40 snaps, 33 snaps, like, these guys got playing time. They didn't just have 2 or 3 good snaps and that's all they were in for, and voila, they got a 87.4. Like, he was out there for 18, not a ton, but like that gives you enough of a number to go, okay, I feel good about that grade. Or 37 here and he was an 80. Like, I feel good about that meaning something. I don't feel as good about like Betts. Like the 61.4, he only got 7 snaps. Hatton only had 5 snaps. Now, granted, they were probably bad. They were probably not good snaps. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have been taken out, or maybe they would have gotten in earlier if some of these other guys were playing worse. But like, I feel good knowing Ukwu got a 71.8 and he played 40 snaps. That is not a small sample size, and we don't run into those kind of statistical issues. At the same time, this sucks. 40, 32, 34, 31. Like, this is also not a small sample size statistical issue. They are legitimate. They didn't play well for a lot of snaps. But as a Lions fan, always the optimist, I really like focusing on this stuff up here, and that makes me happy to see.
Yeah,
the stuff at the bottom can be corrected, right? This is the stuff that we're trying to get them to. So if you're already there, let's just like keep you there and growing. And then the stuff at the bottom, let's correct and then move up.
Yeah, there are some things on this list that I am just absolutely... What's up, Donkey Kong? There are some things on this list that I'm absolutely kind of thrilled by, and they're all in the top 5 or 6. Like, Amik Robertson, from everything that I've heard, just is like a baller. You know, and he goes out, like, you played 18 snaps, all right, like a series or 2, right? But like you had an 87, like you're ready to play with ones, you know?
Right.
And Ennis Rakestraw, he played more than a couple of series, right? He played about half the game. And, you know, he's out there doing it, playing, and his coverage grade was fantastic. Like on the Brandon Joseph interception, like he was the primary on the receiver and like had him cut off so well and bumped off the route that Joseph was able to undercut it and get to the position first to get the pick. You know, and so like I was watching a diagnosis of the play and they were like, Brandon Joseph gets the credit, but Rakestraw did all the work. And like, I was just thrilled to see that because I want Arnold and Rakestraw on the field playing well, because the secondary has been such an absolute question mark the last couple of years that I am just ready for these dudes to wow me, you know? And like, I'm happy they signed Robertson. Like, they've got guys.
We've got good depth. Last year we overhauled our backfield, and we had Mosley and he goes hurt, right? Sutton was the only real guy that we brought in that ended up staying healthy, and he had to do everything out there because everybody else was a rookie or just bad, like coming in off their couch, like Vildor, right? And I think Sutton just was forced to kind of do too much, and he couldn't do his job well at that point. So I love that we basically overhauled it yet again. And I think that this has a lot more potential, not just for like right now, but also for long term. Like, I think last year it felt very like, okay, this is a patch for a hole. This feels like we have caulked it and sealed it, right? Like, this isn't just a 1 year thing. We made significant investments in the draft, and even in the free agency, we allowed ourselves the ability to make that window for those players as much as we needed. So I feel like this is more than just a Band-Aid. This is more of a caulk the hole, seal it up, and keep getting better in that area.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, this isn't like an overhaul where you're like you're signing Emmanuel Mosley and, you know, 1 year guys hoping to like maintain their careers or prove that they're back or something like that. Like, those guys are still here. Yeah, but like
Gardner Johnson, yeah.
Exactly. You know, but like now you made a trade, you drafted 2 of them, you signed Amik Robertson. Like, okay, you brought in 4 guys. So this room is getting fixed or everyone's going to live in it, you know, like
exactly.
So you know, so I'm pretty bullish on the Detroit Lions secondary this year.
Yeah, and I think as those young guys get more experience, they'll just do nothing but improve, right? Experience is what is going to get us to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mike, we were talking about a segment a while ago called Bold Bets.
Bold Bets.
That I heard on another podcast, and I thought it would be applicable to what we talk about with the Lions here on, our show. And we've got about 10 minutes left, so I thought, we are going to make some bold bets about the Detroit Lions this year. And I mean, we'll just do with our bold bets or whatever that we thought. I'd like to do one. I'm going to do one for offense, one for defense, and one flex.
Okay.
Bold bet. All right. So you do whatever bold bets you want to do, and I will do. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. And so if you're in the
I've got a few.
yeah. So if you're in the chat and you're listening right now, and you've got one that you want to throw out, please join us. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Mike, hit us with your first bold bet.
All right, my first bold bet is Terrion Arnold wins Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
Hey man, let's be bold or go home, right?
Woo.
I mean, like, I think that I think he has an opportunity to do kind of like what Sauce did, and I think the reason I think that is I think that he has complements on the field, right? So he's got good. We've got a good nickel corner. We've got good guys on the other side of him. And I think that allows him to be able to shut down his side. And as long as he does his job, they can't go anywhere, right? Because we've got good players everywhere. So my thought is he's going to shut down his side, and they're going to have, honestly, I'm hoping that they're not going to have anywhere else to go because they don't want to go underneath because that's where Kirby Joseph's going to be down there, or maybe he's deep, whatever. We've got other corner. Like, we actually have a good backfield, assuming health, right? I think that he can pull that off.
Yeah, I'm real hopeful for Terrion Arnold. Like, I remember my last mock draft before the 24 NFL draft was that he would go, I believe, 8th to the Falcons, and the Lions traded up to get him at 24. So I think he's a hell of a player. So I think that a corner winning Defensive Rookie of the Year is tough. So if he has that year, I think the Lions are in a pretty good spot. So,
but it also literally just happened 2 years ago.
I would be interested to know the time prior to that it happened. So usually, I'm not trying to argue, but like usually
right.
Those things are determined by sack totals. And so
and that's why Hutch was runner up, right? Like, he was
exactly
a strong second. And I tried to argue for him because he's a Lion,
right.
But my Sauce was like, he was a shutdown. So I think Arnold's got the potential to do that. And I think he's got the attitude to do that. He wants to be the best cornerback that ever played the game, right? Mm-hmm. And if you got that attitude, I think you put the work in, and you put the work in, you can get there. So the other thing is, I don't think there were any last year. What number 2 overall was? No, number 3 overall was Houston, right? Picking. Oh my God! Now I'm drawing a blank. They took
C.J. Stroud, then they took Willie Anderson.
Yep. Willie Anderson. Like, you had this like high profile stud defensive end, edge rusher that will, like, okay, he's got the story, he's got the draft pick. I just don't see someone at that quality that has like this runaway advantage in just the mind share. So I think he's also got a little bit of potential to have that being kind of an open field to play in.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I like it.
Who you got?
My first bold bet is on the offensive side of the football. Sam Laporta will lead the NFL in touchdown receptions this season.
Ooh.
I think that he had 11 this last season, which I had guessed 9, and he had, so I think 11 is correct. But I wouldn't be surprised if he added half again as many to that total.
Wow. I think that's interesting, because a lot of times when we get down to the goal line, it potentially ends up being stolen. Those passes and those touchdowns get stolen by Gibbs or Monty. Mm-hmm. Are you thinking there's going to be fewer goal line? Like, he's going to have more from outside of the 5?
My take on Sam Laporta is that he is okay. So George Kittle and Travis Kelce are both very well established veterans, And I think not at the peak of either of their careers. I like Mark Andrews from Baltimore quite well, but Sam Laporta, I think, has a chance to say, guess what, everybody? I'm going to put my hat in the ring for best tight end in the NFL. And I obviously never would have thought that when they picked him. But the amount of target share that he got immediately, the type of trust that Goff seems to have in him almost immediately, I think that with someone like Ben Johnson and someone like Sam Laporta, I think that it's going to be, we're going to find one or two new ways to use you.
Yeah.
Or like, this is something that we want to see you do this year that you didn't do last year. And I don't have a reason to think that he can't do it. I mean, the dude was a rookie and like had almost, I think,
11 touchdowns?
He had like 11 touchdowns, and he either had 100 receptions or real close to it. And maybe he was 88. But like, I just think that you have Josh Reynolds going out the door, right? And like, he had 70 targets and 55 catches. They want to feature Gibbs more. And from all accounts, Jamison Williams has been playing real well this training camp, and they're expecting more from him. But in all honesty, I think, like, you know, if the rush is coming, you're going to go to the people that you know the best. And I think that the people that Goff knows the best and trusts the most are St. Brown and now Laporta. And I wouldn't be surprised if a decent chunk of Josh Reynolds' target share ended up going to Laporta. So
yeah, Laporta last year was 5th in receiving with 889 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He was 4th in targets with 118. His reception percentage, well, some of these have a smaller number of targets, so that's a little bit tougher. But his total receptions was, like I said, 86. I mean, he's already top 5 in basically every category. And then when you look at the actual like grading, he was also 5, right? So 10 touchdowns. He led. So do you think he's going to lead the NFL in touchdowns or just all tight ends?
The NFL,
including wide receivers.
Yes. I think
bold.
Something like
that is
16
bold.
or I think something like 16 or 17 touchdowns is realistic for him this season.
Wow. Yeah. So, I like it.
Yeah. That's my bold bet on offense.
All right. Well, do you want to follow up and do a defense?
You want me to go?
Or do you want me to go? It's up to you.
All right. No, let's do ping pong, dude. You're up.
Okay. All right. So I've got a few of them here. On the defensive side of the ball, I've got Hutch hitting 15 sacks. Not super duper bold. I think that's like reachable bold, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Terry Arnold winning Defensive Rookie of the Year was more out there bold. So I've got Hutch hitting 15 sacks on the defensive side.
Okay. Yeah, I would.
So
love
I guess I had two bold bets on the defensive side, right? Terry Arnold with Defensive Rookie of the Year and Hutch hitting 15 sacks.
Yeah, I am so ready for Aiden Hutchinson to get like, oh shit, like you're legit kind of sack numbers. And I think this secondary is going to help him do that. So I'm going to, if you don't have anything else, I'm going to go to my defensive bold bet.
Yep, let's do it.
My defensive bold bet is that Ennis Rakestraw is a starting outside corner for the Detroit Lions before the end of the season.
Okay.
I think that I think that we will have 2 rookie outside corners starting, not because of injury, because of how well he plays. Before the season is over, he will have won the starting job from Carlton Davis. I don't know why, but like They said when they went from having practices not in pads to having practices in pads, he's a completely different player.
Yeah.
He is a completely different guy. When the pads come on, he is after you. And like those kind of guys, in my opinion, those are the guys I gravitate towards. So this is me gravitating toward being a fan of Ennis Rakestraw. And so like I wasn't sure that I mean, like some of the mocks that were coming up heading into the 24 draft had the Lions taking him at like 29.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I don't know. But taking him at 63 is a lot different, you know? So like, mine is Brian Branch is the Lions defensive MVP. That's probably a real solid bet, Danny. Everything that I've heard is that Brian Branch is nigh unstoppable so far in practice.
Over Hutch being our defensive MVP?
I don't know that it's that big
Wow.
of a stretch, to be honest. I mean, like, so here's the reason why. We're going to deviate to Danny's thing just real quick. Aiden Hutchinson has a job. He has a job. And he is going to be on the field every play on defense doing that one thing, which is to go and destroy the other team's quarterback. That's his job.
Yep.
And he does in my opinion, he does a real good job of messing stuff up. Like he has lots of pressures. He's had PFF has credited him with 11 sacks each of his first 2 seasons. If he hits the 15 mark that you're hoping for him, then I think that he's like you got to start talking about him like he's amongst the game's best. Like he's certainly not Garrett, but like the other tiers, I think that you could have an argument for Aiden Hutchinson. But Brian Branch is a chess piece that is going to be put in a position to not only make plays, but like he's going to be put in a position, I think, to force turnovers.
Yeah.
And you can do all the sacks that you want, but like I think that the turnovers are the thing that is going to be the lifeblood of winning football games. And so, Aiden could have 10 sacks by week 12. And if Brian's got 3 interceptions and a couple forced fumbles, I'm like, I mean, it's the turnovers are probably helping the team more than the sacks. But like, he is going to be everywhere. He is going to be in the slot. He's going to be in the deep safety. You are going to play him at linebacker positions. Like, and the dude does not miss tackles. He is like an octopus when it comes to bringing dudes down. And like the other thing that I like so much about Rakestraw is that from all intents and purposes, like he wants to be like Brian Branch in that respect. Like I'm going to go in and kill you if you're running the ball, and I'm going to wrap up,
I'll make you feel it,
hug you to right to the ground, big old hugs, and like those guys want to make plays. And I mean, I was kind of just on board with like what Danny was saying, like in the Kansas City game last year, and he had that pick 6. He reaches behind him off the Kadarius Toney tip, and off he goes, and I was just like, oh, this
welcome
dude,
to the NFL.
This dude is a magnet, like
yeah,
wherever the ball is, he just is pulled toward it, and like I love Aiden Hutchinson and I will die on that hill, but I absolutely think that Brian Branch is the other dude that could be like, those 2 guys are the absolute pillars of this defense.
Yeah, I agree.
They're potential superstars. So, I mean, like,
a lot like Ragnow and Sewell is on the offense.
Yes.
They're vocal leaders. They are effort, the example guys as well as the vocal guys. And if they were not on our team, our offense would look totally different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm with Danny on this one. Plus the little shit beat me at the NFL draft betting game that we had first time out. So like I kind of got to give him some props every once in a while. So
well, he's saying that just because he has a Branch jersey and he wants it to mean something. Somebody
it means something if you like him. So I mean, So there you go. Plenty of David Barnett. Welcome, David. 1,000 yards for St. Brown, Montgomery, Gibbs, Laporta, and Jay.
And JMO. Wow.
That's bold. 5,000 yard. Are we talking all purpose here, David? Or are we talking rushing or receiving? or receiving.
I feel like it's got to be all purpose, right? Because Montgomery, Gibbs,
Well,
that's a 5,000-yard season passing. And that's not including any of the other people that we're going to dump the ball off to, or, wide receivers 3 and 4 that are going to get a few catches.
So I think what he means is Gibbs and Montgomery have 1,000 yards rushing, and the other 3 have 1,000 yards receiving. But I don't think there's any chance that Jameson Williams gets 1,000 yards receiving. Like, that would be such an unbelievable increase. It would be 3 or 4 times his production from last year, which I would love to see. I would if
he'd
Damon
have to essentially
right,
keep his existing production from last year and then also add in Reynolds.
all purpose.
Yeah, all purpose. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. But yeah, he would have to take all of his stuff and all of Reynolds' previous yardage while keeping his own and improving on both those numbers. But I mean, and I think the other part is he'll have to do that. Yeah, like do it, but like, is that going to be at Laporta or Sun God's expense?
Let me just calm your fears right now, Mike. There's not a force on this planet, save Jesus Christ returning from the dead, that is going to stop Jared Goff from giving 60% of the targets to Laporta and St. Brown. There's just nothing on earth that's going to stop that.
Yeah.
There's wild horses couldn't prevent Jared Goff from throwing the ball to those 2 guys 250 times this year.
They are the safety blanket, like the safety net. But I guess when they just never drop the ball, that's who you want to go to, right? Like there's a reason why they're the safety net, is because they get open and they catch the ball when you throw it to them. So don't overthink it, Jared, right? Let's just get it to the guys that catch the ball.
He's not gonna, he knows where his bread's buttered. Really? I hope so.
JMO becomes wide receiver 1B. I mean, I'd love it. I mean, that's what we drafted him for, right? We actually drafted him to be number 1. And then St. Brown came out of freaking nowhere. And now we're like, okay, well, if he's 1B, that's even better.
I still think that he has the chance to be like the 1B wide receiver and maybe even the 4th receiving option on this team.
Yeah, like either one of those on the spectrum?
So, I mean, like, no. Like, I think that he will be the second best receiver and maybe have the 4th most catches on the team.
Well, I think what he's saying is like him and Sun God could be like either one. Like either one could be number 1. Not like he's our second most catches. Like
that
we have legit. Both of them are the same quality of dude.
If Jameson Williams makes that, what you just described, amount of improvement, he's the most improved player in the NFL, and it's hands down.
Yeah, I agree. Ra is an older deity.
It's well said, Brian. It's well said. So, Mike, do you have another bold bet?
I do. I think the Lions are going to sweep the NFC North 6-0.
Oh.
Which, you know what? The Vikings, okay. Like, I think everybody's going to sweep the Vikings. I just don't think they're going to be good. But I think Chicago's going to be really damn good, and Green Bay's really good. I don't see them getting too much worse. I feel like we inched up faster and more than they did, and I think we're going to Campbell is a guy that's like, super gritty, super like put it all out on the field, and I think he knows that division games are huge deals. Not just because they're W's and you need a certain amount of W's to get into the playoffs. I think it's like the pride of winning the division and everything else as well. And I think we are going to play super hard against those guys. And I think we can go 6-0.
Oh yeah, no, like the only team that I have any kind of real concern about is the Packers.
Yep.
But like, I do think that if you can't beat the Sam Darnold-led Vikings, I think the Bears have made excellent moves, and I still don't think that I think that their offensive line is just not yet where it needs to be, and that's exploitable. And I am a Caleb Williams believer. on record for a long time that I believe in this kid, but he is a rookie. So he looked real good in his preseason game, though. I mean, like, he looked really good.
He looked like the real deal.
He made some mistakes. But I feel like he is well ahead of where he should be as a rookie.
Yeah.
So my last bold bet, and I think you're gonna like it.
All right.
I think it's really, really important that you have PFF up here. Can you do me a favor, Mike? Can you go to last season? Can you look up Jack Campbell for me real quickly and what Jack Campbell got last season for his overall PFF grade?
Oh, bad. Whoops. I don't know why I clicked on offense. Defense.
Yeah, that's right.
His overall grade was a 57.3.
You're going to like this because I think this is pretty bold. Jack Campbell will finish the 2024-25 season with a PFF grade of 80.
Wow. Okay.
This guy
Explain.
This guy is playing in the right position for him, which is Mike linebacker this season. From all intents and from everything that I have heard coming out of training camp, he has become a vocal leader of the defense, and not vocal just like rah rah, let's go and play hard. Like, get your ass over there. That's where you're supposed to be. Understanding what he's seeing, getting the calls right. Green dot, Jack Campbell. And this guy, I think, suffered from having to play out of position from where he had played at Iowa, which was Mike. They tried him at Sam. They tried him at edge. They tried him at will. Now he's back to where he has felt comfortable. I think I have no reason to doubt that he will fail. I mean, I have no reason to think that he will. I said it wrong.
Yeah. Strike that. Reverse it.
Taylor Decker. So, because I didn't say Eric.
That is correct.
Right. So I did it right.
Taylor.
That's
yeah. I'm just.
I get it. It didn't land. Not all the jokes do. We're moving forward. But I think that this season, Jack Campbell is going to be the player that the Lions saw him being when they took him at 18 out of Iowa. And if that is the case, and he's that guy, then this is where he's headed. And like, I also think that he has a chance to be maybe the most improved player in the NFL, simply from playing at a position where he feels comfortable, doing things that he feels comfortable with doing. He's been in the system. I missed David Barnett's thing. Saint gets far more catches, but slightly more yards. Oh,
the JMO.
Yeah, St. Brown is
so his yards per catch is going to be.
Oh yeah, that smaller. Difference is going to be. Jamison Williams is the kind of wide receiver that you want to have 15, 16 plus yards on his like yards per catch average, and like St. Brown is like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You know, like
he's the chain mover. The other guy is the bigger play.
Yeah, like Jamison or Amon-Ra St. Brown is the engine that moves the offense, and St. Brown is the racing, or not St. Brown, but Williams is the racing stripe on the car. You know, so like, fine, great. I want to have a vehicle that does both those things. So I'm very happy with that prediction. But yeah, you know, I didn't like my balloon got popped when they took Jack Campbell at 18. I was very unhappy for the rest of that draft. Not only because Danny got the last guy right and won all the money. But like,
sometimes it better be lucky than good.
But I mean, like, Brad Holmes is hitting on players at a rate that math would say is unsustainable.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not going to believe in numbers, and if I'm not going to believe in like what I'm actually seeing, and if I'm going to make my theory fit the facts, then like I need to bet on these guys succeeding.
Right.
And okay, like it's year 2. Like, I don't know that the sophomore slump really exists in Detroit anymore, knock on wood. So I'm going to bet that Jack Campbell is an absolute beast.
Wow. That is bold. I mean, to finish the season with an 80 grade when he didn't even sniff 80 in a single game one time.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe you can say 76.3 is a sniff, but it is a downwind sniff. That is really bold. I hope so, because what that means is our linebacking core stepped up not just one notch but two notches, and I think that along with the cornerbacks make us not just a okay defense, a defense that doesn't lose games, but actually a dominant defense, and I love that.
So last season, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there were exactly 10 linebackers who scored an 80 or higher. So I guess what I'm saying, and I didn't look this up until just now, I guess I'm saying that I think it's possible that Jack Campbell becomes a top 10 linebacker in the NFL. That's what that grade represents. So
Yeah.
There's a list. I just looked at that. Well,
Yeah,
it
so
must
there
not be
was-
quite the same.
This does not have filter for minimum snaps.
Oh, okay.
There
So
we go.
I have,
Yeah, so
I
there's-
just went NFL player grades, linebackers, and ranked them by.
Yeah, I usually will do a minimum snap. So your guy that only got like, 10,
3,
15, 20
yeah.
snaps or whatever doesn't count. You want a good group. So yeah, but like even filter with 20% of the highest number of snaps, you're still looking at top 12 at 80.
And
I take that 100%, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like the other thing is like I don't think that any of these guys are really coming off the field much for their respective teams, but I know that what's his name? Derek Barnes played more snaps last year than Jack Campbell, and I think it's highly unlikely that repeats.
Yeah,
I think that Campbell's going to eat into Derek Barnes's snap count in a really, really significant way.
yeah.
So, yeah. So those are my bold bets. You got another one?
I've got a couple more. Yep.
Oh,
so let me pop that up there. I think the Lions, since we're speaking PFF, I think the Lions are going to have 4 guys in the top 2 of their respective positions.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Laporta.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's going to be Ragnow.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Sewell.
Okay.
And the 4th one could be any number of people. Like there's a couple options for that 4th one. It could be Hutch. I don't think it's going to be Goff. I don't think he's going to be in that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, that area. But I think it could be Arnold. It could be Branch. It could be Hutch. I think that there's just one more guy outside of those 3 that's going to end up in there. I don't know which one it is. That's why I just said 4 guys. But I think we're going to have 4 guys in the top 2 of their respective position groups.
I do think Branch has a chance to be, depending how I think the thing that might hurt Branch's chances is if he has snap counts in so many different camps that it's like, well, you played 350 snaps at nickel corner, and then you played 600 snaps at strong safety, and you had 55 snaps at like Sam linebacker, Will linebacker, or whatever, and then like a dime package or something like that. So I don't know if that would hurt him or help him, to be honest, but because he is less of a Aiden Hutchinson is a edge rusher, full stop. I think it's more difficult to define who Brian Branch is. So
yeah, I was thinking.
A dangerous pastime.
I know it is a very dangerous thing.
Beauty and the Beast, anybody? Yeah.
Nice. You were distractingly hilarious, Drew.
Well, it's been known to happen. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. There is a report on here that will actually show you like where each one of these ranked within their position group, and for the life of me, I can't find it. But we've got some good playmakers, and maybe it's Swift or not Swift. I'm sorry. Oh, good lord, Gibbs. Maybe it's Gibbs. Like maybe he's the other guy. Like we have some really damn good players. What's up, Cake Man? 12-18. Go Lions for sure. Welcome to the chat.
Look at all these new people, man.
I love it. So the last one that I had, because I went all out. I didn't just do three. The last one I had is I think Jared Goff will throw for 30 touchdowns back to back for the first time in his career. He's never done it before. Last year he hit 30. I think he goes back to back 30 touchdowns. Not super bold, just because I think that we've got a damn good team around us. But anytime you do something for the first time in your career, it's got to be somewhat bold, right? Otherwise, you'd have done it a bunch of times.
That's true. I hope that he does throw for 30 touchdowns because it lends more credence to my Sam Laporta bet. So
right.
So yeah, good job. I mean, like, and to be honest, I am not like I want to go to war with Jared Goff kind of guy. We all know that. But I also don't think like I mean, at this point, I don't know that I really think that he is going to like be worse randomly. Like if the line is good, and the his receivers are not hurt, like basically if nobody's hurt, like they weren't last year,
Yeah.
then can he really fail? I mean, like
right.
He doesn't throw a very pretty ball, but I mean, like it gets in the hands of the people he's going to quite a bit. Are they going to play starters? I don't care enough. I don't want them to.
I don't think they will.
I mean, I think that some of the starters will probably have to play at some point. I mean, just to get but like I'm talking like, will Graham Glasgow get like a? Maybe not. I mean, but like, will David Montgomery get a series? Does Jared Goff go out there for one series in the third game? Probably not, but maybe.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe that they just don't play any starters.
Right.
So, but they didn't week one, really. I mean, we could go through the list again and basically be like, there's one. Okay, all done. But like typically these, I mean, and now that you only have 3 of them as opposed to 4 of them, you just have fewer chances to evaluate, the back third of your roster.
Yeah.
And so you just, I mean, like getting those guys as many reps, as many situations as they can to evaluate them. I think is really important.
On the bets train too.
Well, he made the one thing that he was asked to do, so he's 100% for when it matters so far.
Are you talking about Bates or Betts?
Bates, the kicker.
Okay. He was mentioning Betts.
Betts he's not. He says Jake Bates is super fun to watch. So I don't know that Betts is going to make the roster at this point. Which
hoping to see Betts.
If you
place. He also said Bates in the next comment, so that's why.
All right.
Yeah.
I like Matthew Betts. I want Matthew Betts to be good. I want Matthew Betts to be a Detroit Lion. I want him to be in the rotation. I don't know that. I mean, you get 7 snaps in week 1. I mean, that's not indicative.
Yeah. Are those at the very, very end of the game, where maybe he gets a little bit more time moving up from like the last 2 series or the last series of the fourth quarter, but maybe he gets bumped, gets starting getting some time early in the third or something, maybe?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a possibility.
It's certainly a possibility. Absolutely. So
I had a couple other. I mean, he seems like a good dude, and I feel like I always like to see kind of the underdog do well. So, which is why I was excited to see Manu and get him out there. Not that he was
Mhm.
an underdog per se, but he wasn't like a first or second round draft pick, right? And
Right.
wasn't super highly touted. So I love watching those guys, outperform expectations and all that kind of stuff. Um,
I do have. I know you want to preview the game. I do have one other thing to bring up, just real quickly.
yeah. Well, I had a couple other like
Oh,
honorable
you got that.
mention things that I was like trying to narrow it down.
Do your
I was
best.
like,
Let's go.
obviously, the boldest of the bold Lions win the Super Bowl, right? So,
Sure.
we got to have that on there. I also think there's an outside chance that both Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell sweep the assistant coach and head coach of the year awards.
Well, if
That was
the
the other thing I was
Lions win
thinking.
the Super Bowl,
Well, all that happens before the playoffs. The voting happens before the playoffs.
sure. I mean, but
But if
like,
we like dominate, if we sweep our division, which is going to be, I think, a tougher division this year than previous years, and we put up say 14, we go 14-3 or something like that, number one seed. I feel like, I mean, those are all also fairly bold predictions. But like if we do that, I feel like Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell have a pretty good edge on that assistant coach and head coach of the year awards.
yeah, the more you win, the more likely it is that you're going to get accolades like that. So I agree.
Weird how that works, isn't it?
It is strange.
But, all right, so before we go to the preview, what did you got for me?
Hassan Reddick, having not played one game for the New York Jets since he was traded from the Eagles to the Jets in the offseason, has officially requested a trade from the Jets. Now they have said no.
No,
We're not.
yeah.
We're
We're
not
going to
giving
continue
you
to find you until you get here.
we're not going to give you a new contract, and we're not trading you. I don't understand what everyone's problem with Hassan Reddick is, but I feel like he has very little leverage, and depending on how disruptive this is, he might be able to be gettable for not a lot of money or compensation. Certainly nowhere near a one.
Yeah.
So I think he's probably, I don't know if he's 30 or 31 years old, somewhere in that area. But like, we have been looking for a dude to pair with Hutch. And if you're gonna spend future thirds and fourths on like Vaki and Manu, like, can we maybe not kick a fourth or a fifth or whatever, or maybe something a little bit sweeter to the Jets, and give this dude a 3-year deal at something like 18 or 19 million dollars a year? Give him a little pay bump to keep him happy, and like sign him, and have somebody that actually is an effective pass rusher. This is, I mean, like, if you are, I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like, it's not like moving heaven and earth to move up in the NFL draft. It's not a player that's just like Brandon Ayuk, who's going to demand top dollar. And
Right.
like, it could be hanging out there, and like, to me, that seems more like a Lions move. Haven't seen it, but like one there where it's like, we're not giving up the farm to do this. Like, we're giving
Right.
up something, but we're not going to trade our ability to continue to do what we want to do every season with like continuing to develop the roster the way we want.
Yeah. We can do both.
Right. I mean, but like, it's like, yeah, he says, I don't think Brad Holmes would do it. And I always tell people, when it comes to betting on somebody will or will not do something, always bet on not doing it, because that's
Right.
every other option other than the one thing that has to go right. So like, it's the smart money cake, man, is on, nope, they're not going to do it. But
Right.
like, there are very few windows in an NFL team's history where they have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
And the edge rusher opposite Aiden Hutchinson is one of the few remaining weaknesses on this team. I mean, I hope Marcus Davenport's great. He has not been recently.
Right.
I hope Josh Pascal's great, but those more seem like guys than like ballers. And like,
Pieces.
Hassan Reddick is a baller. So
Yeah.
like, if he's cheap, if you could do it, I give up a third round and maybe something later.
You
to
said they
bring him
traded
over.
for him over the summer?
Yeah, they traded I believe it was a 3rd-round pick to get him out of Philadelphia. And then they were
I mean, I
just
think they're
like,
going to want at least their 3rd round back, right?
well, I mean, but that never
If
happened,
they,
right? I
yeah.
mean, but like, so like because this shit is so public, I mean, if I was Brad Holmes, I would call up whatever his name is on the Jets and say, can we talk to Hassan about what he's thinking about his second contract,
Right.
his next contract? And it's like the Lions have, I think, the 3rd or 4th most cap space in the entire NFL.
It's a good chunk of money.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I'm not saying, I mean, like, what you could do is like, you could front load that deal on like a 3-year deal, because Brad loves to do that, and then build in some voids, 1 or 2 voids on the back end. And you could say, we are going to use our upfront money before some of our amazingly high contracts that we handed out this last season really kick in. Because like, I don't know what Jared and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell are all going to make next year. But like, I think that you can absorb a guy making $19 million on your roster. And if he's the second fiddle to Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, if he had 10 sacks next season, like, you haven't had something like that from both spots and God knows how long. You know, Kyle
we are
Vanden
3rd.
and Ezekiel Ansah. I mean, how long has it been?
Well, even then, like Vanden Bosch was only kind of, he was all right.
Yeah.
He was like a Marcus Davenport, right? But you are correct. We are 3rd currently in salary cap availability, 42.6 mil. We could certainly fit him in.
All I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's there.
Next year.
Could be there if you want it.
Next year, we drop to 24.6.
Well, that's what happens when you shell out $500 million in an offseason.
True story. But still, 24 is nothing to sneeze at either.
True.
So,
and like, I very much think that the Lions will take their salary cap money. If something happens, they can use it to elevate people from the practice squad, maybe make an in-season move. And like, no one ever does anything for the first time until they do it, right? So I mean, like, Brad Holmes hasn't done it, but maybe, like his first draft, like his first draft, I was like, I don't know if this guy going to move around in the draft. He moves around all the time.
Yeah.
In the draft.
They found their guys and they got them, right?
So it's out there.
Preseason game 2. It's kind of David Barnett says, until Sutton case is settled, isn't our cap space just a hope?
No,
we have 42 million. He's not making that much. So
the cap space reflected on over the cap does not include the Sutton thing. It includes the worst case scenario for Sutton. So
excellent.
And to be honest, like, the likelihood that they were getting that money back, and it's not much. It's like $6 million from last time I heard, the guaranteed money.
Yeah.
Like, he has to be convicted. Then the NFL has to say you violated the official conduct policy, and then the Lions can effectively sue him for the money. So whether it was, I mean, like, they were never getting this cap space back this year at all. So
that's gonna take far too long.
Right.
To do all of
the
that.
Lions can petition the NFL to basically say, like, the non-guaranteed stuff goes into a special place on their books where it, quote unquote, doesn't count, and then that gets like in escrow until they have to figure out how the situation ends up. Yeah. So like, we have to keep it available at some point in the future, but not right now, because we shouldn't get penalized for his stupidity, right? So, but the guaranteed money is a different story. But like, even if we had to pay out every goddamn nickel to Cam Sutton, I mean, like, it's still like, okay, you go from 40 to 34, like, it's not a needle mover.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to remember that kind of stuff, David.
Yeah. So game 2, I mean, there's not really a ton to talk about because Mahomes isn't playing, Goff's not playing, our starters are almost assuredly not going to be playing. Again, all we're doing is we just want to get out of there healthy.
I want to see urgency from people. I want to see my spot on the roster fucking matters. That's why they're playing me 40 snaps today. I'm going to go out and I'm hitting somebody. I'm hustling. The ball's on the ground. I'm picking it up. Doesn't matter if they blew the whistle dead. That kind of thing. Like I want, if you want to get a roughing the conduct, like roughing the passer, like except unnecessary roughness, like this is the time where I'm going to be like, I understand why you're doing that. It's fine.
Yeah.
This doesn't matter. So like, because I don't care about winning the game. I want what you want, to not get hurt. But I want people to go out there and be like, this is still football. My job is on the line. I'm going to show them that I can put what they are trying to teach me into practice. And I want that to translate to what I see on the field. So like, don't care about the outcome. Could lose by 30. Don't give a shit. Like I want to see people out there playing really hard. And I don't know that I saw that in week 1. So,
at least not consistently enough.
Correct.
There were a few bright spots out there, but not. I mean, if we put 53 men out on that field, I wouldn't say probably more than 10 of them fit the bill that we're looking for. And I want to see 53.
Right.
I'd like to see. I'm hoping Hooker's back for the game. I'd like to see more. He's not for sure.
Yes.
Well, that's a bummer.
I don't think that the NFL concussion protocol timeline allows for enough time for him to be cleared to get back on Saturday. I could be wrong. Gotcha. That's just what I heard. So
that'd be a bummer. Like I'd like to see him get more snaps.
Yes, me too.
He was fun to watch, and he was the only thing on offense moving us down him and Vaki. Like, and when they kind of saw what they needed to from Vaki, they said, "All right, we don't want you getting hurt. Put you on the bench, and we'll give some of these other running backs out there." So I'd like to see more Hooker, because this is the only time I want to see Hooker. It's in the preseason, right? That means Goff staying healthy, and we don't have to worry about effectively a rookie coming in to save our season. And that is worst case scenario for basically any team.
Yeah, not what you want, right? So I'm hopeful. I think that I'm pretty bullish on the Lions. Like, there were plenty of seasons where, like, okay, the starters are out here playing because we don't know who's going to start, So, that's not the case anymore. Really happy about that side of it. So I'm excited that they just go out there and play hard. And I don't know. I know I'm repeating myself here, but like, I just want to see them play hard. So
stay healthy, surprise us. Like, who's gonna step up and be like, wow, that dude came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see that, right?
I
want to go, they're a bunch of 2s and 3s and they're playing like 2s and 3s. I want to see someone go, you were a 5th round draft choice. I never heard your name before, and you did that. Like, why did everybody overlook you? Just jump out of nowhere at us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be great. So that's my hopes for preseason week 2.
Anything else for the good of the crew?
No, I just want to. Well, you can shout out some people in chat here. Cake Man is new to me. David Barnett, new. I'm trying to scroll back through right now. Danny Coates, didn't seem
not new, but still appreciate having you.
Yeah, I think we've seen Brian Morski before. Broski Bear, and anybody that was in the chat that didn't, or anybody that was watching that wasn't in the chat, like, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Like, we love talking to you guys, and it's good to get the opinions in the community. So just a big thank you. I'm starting to get really jazzed up about football again. So
it's getting that time. Yeah. There's going to be football every week from now until February, and I love it.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm really happy.
So as always, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe. The more people we have in chat, the more fun it is, the more interaction we can do, and the more cool stuff that we can talk about the Lions, different ideas. I like some of the bold bets that were out there. That was pretty cool. So the more people we have kind of hanging out and joining in, the more fun stuff like that we get. So appreciate you guys all. And we will see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. after game 2.
That's
on
right.
Saturday.
See you guys.
All right. See ya.